The alarm bells rang through the Terran Defense Coalition headquarters on Luna. It was 600 hours on March 15, 2387, and humanity was about to meet its first aliens. Captain Li Dongwu stood on the bridge of his battle cruiser Soul's Pride. He had been chosen to lead this historic mission because of his calm nature and diplomatic skills. His dark eyes watched the main screen as his communications officer worked frantically at her station. "Captain, we are receiving the transmission again," said Lieutenant Park So-young. Her voice shook slightly as she spoke. "The signal is coming from outside our solar system." Li Dongwu nodded slowly. For 3 days, Earth had been receiving the same message over and over. The message came in perfect human languages: English, Korean, Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic, and dozens of others. This fact alone made everyone nervous. How did these aliens know human languages so well? "Play the message again," he ordered. The bridge fell silent as an artificial voice filled the air. "Greetings, inhabitants of the third planet. We are the Vanguard Empire. We come to offer you a place in our great confederation. Send your representatives to the coordinates we have provided. You have 7 solar rotations to comply." The message was polite, but something about it made Li Dongwu uncomfortable. It sounded like the aliens were giving orders rather than making requests. Back on Earth, Admiral Park Hee-jin sat in the war room deep beneath Seoul. She was a small woman, but her presence filled any room she entered. Around the table sat the leaders of Earth's military forces. They had been debating for hours about how to respond. "We cannot ignore this," said General Kim Tae-ho, the head of Earth's ground forces. "They obviously have technology far beyond ours. They found us across the galaxy and learned our languages. But why do they sound so demanding?" asked Dr. Choi Minho, Earth's top scientist. "Real diplomats would ask for permission to meet, not order us to come to them." Admiral Park Hye-jin studied the star charts on the table. The coordinates led to Kepler 442b, a planet in neutral space about 12 light-years from Earth. It would take their fastest ships 3 days to reach it. "We go," she decided, "but we go prepared. Captain Li will take Soul's Pride and 2 escort ships. If these aliens want to talk, we will talk. But if they want to fight..." She left the sentence unfinished. 3 days later, Soul's Pride dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler 442b. The planet was a dead rock orbiting a red dwarf star, perfect for a meeting because no one could claim it belonged to them. "Captain, I am detecting massive energy signatures," reported his sensor officer, Lieutenant Nayunji. She was young but had the best eyes in the fleet when it came to reading sensor data. "There are ships here. Big ones." On the main screen, shapes began to appear as the sensors focused. Li Dongwu felt his breath catch in his throat. The alien ships were enormous. Each one was at least 3 times the size of Soul's Pride. They had strange curved hulls that seemed to bend light around them. "How many ships?" he asked, quietly. 12 large vessels and about 30 smaller ones," Nayunji replied. "Captain, their technology readings are off the charts. Their power output alone is 10 times what our entire fleet could generate." Li Dongwu nodded grimly. The aliens were definitely showing their strength. This was not a friendly meeting between equals. This was a demonstration of power. "Incoming transmission," announced Lieutenant Park So-young. "Put it on screen." The image that appeared made several crew members gasp. The alien was tall, maybe 8 feet, with scaled green skin and yellow eyes that seemed to glow. Its head was elongated like a snake, and when it spoke they could see rows of sharp teeth. "I am High Commander Veltar of the Kethri race," the alien said in perfect English. "I speak for the Vanguard Empire. You are the representatives of the human species." "I am Captain Li Dongwu of the Terran Defense Coalition," Li replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "We received your message and came to meet you as requested." Veltar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Good. You can follow simple instructions." "This is promising for your species." The insult was clear, but Li Dongwu remained calm. "We are here to discuss your proposal. You mentioned a confederation." "Indeed," Veltar continued. "The Vanguard Empire consists of 4 great species. We have brought peace and order to this part of the galaxy for over 2,000 of your years. We offer membership to promising young races." "What would membership involve?" asked Li Dongwu. "Simple," the alien commander replied. "You will provide us with resources and soldiers when we require them. In return, we will protect you from other hostile species and share some of our technology. It is quite generous." Li Dongwu felt anger rising in his chest but kept his expression neutral. And if we refuse this generous offer? Veltar's yellow eyes seemed to glow brighter. Then you will be classified as a hostile species. We will return with our cleansing fleets and remove the threat you pose to galactic peace. Do not mistake our diplomatic approach for weakness, human. We have exterminated 17 species who refused our guidance. The Bridge of Soul's Pride was dead silent. Every human present understood they had just been given an ultimatum. Submit or die. I need to consult with my government, Li Dongwu said carefully. Of course, Veltar replied. You have 30 of your solar rotations to decide. We will wait for your answer at these coordinates. Choose wisely, Captain Li Dongwu. Your entire species depends on your decision. The transmission ended, leaving the humans staring at a blank screen. Back on Earth, Admiral Park Hyojin listened to Captain Li's report with growing anger. The aliens had not come to offer friendship. They had come to demand surrender. What do we know about their military strength? She asked Dr. Choi Minho. Based on the sensor readings, each of their large ships could probably destroy our entire home fleet, he replied grimly. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours, maybe millennia. So we cannot fight them directly, Park Hyojin mused. Admiral, said General Kim Tae-ho, maybe we should consider their offer. If we refuse, they will kill everyone on Earth. Admiral Park Hyojin stood up slowly. She walked to the window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien ships were waiting for humanity's answer. No, she said finally. We will not kneel to them. Humans have never bowed to tyrants, and we will not start now. But Admiral, protested Dr. Choi Minho, they have superior numbers and technology. Park Hyojin turned back to face the room. Her eyes held a fire that made everyone sit up straighter. They have technology, she agreed, but they do not have what we have. They do not understand what it means to be human. They think we are just another primitive species they can bully into submission. She moved back to the table and placed her hands on the star charts. Send word to every ship. Every base, every human settlement in known space. We go to war, and we are going to show these aliens exactly what happens when you threaten humanity. The die was cast. Humanity had chosen to fight. 30 days had passed since the ultimatum. The alien fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, like a swarm of deadly insects. 200 ships of various sizes spread out in perfect formation. Their hulls gleamed with unknown metals that seemed to absorb starlight. Fleet Marshal Gorthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Victory. He was a member of the Zephyrian race, looking like a giant mantis with 4 arms and compound eyes that could see in multiple spectrums. His species had conquered 47 worlds for the Vanguard Empire. Status report. Gorthak clicked in his native language, which his translator converted to Galactic Standard. All ships in position. Fleet Marshal, replied his tactical officer. We detected the human response fleet near the 4th planet. 45 ships total. Gorthak made a sound that passed for laughter among his kind. 45 ships against 200. These humans are either very brave or very stupid. Perhaps both, sir, suggested his communications officer. They refused our generous offer to join the Empire peacefully. Then they have chosen extinction, Gorthak declared. Signal all ships. We advance in standard battle formation. This will be over quickly. Near Jupiter, Captain Choi Minho floated in the command center of his flagship, the Busan Guardian. He was young for a fleet commander, only 35 years old, but he had earned his position through brilliant tactical thinking during the Mars Rebellion 5 years earlier. Enemy fleet is moving toward us, reported his sensor officer. They are maintaining tight formation, just like our war games predicted they would. Choi Minho smiled grimly. For 30 days, every human military strategist had studied the alien ships from the first contact. They had noticed something important. The aliens fought like machines, following patterns and formations that never changed. Signal all ships, he ordered. Execute Plan Wildfire. Break formation and scatter. Remember, we are not trying to win a straight fight. We are trying to survive long enough to hurt them. The human fleet suddenly exploded in all directions like dandelion seeds in the wind. Some ships dove toward Jupiter's moons. Others headed for the asteroid belt. A few small fighters launched straight at the alien formation in what looked like suicide runs. On the Eternal Victory, Gorthak watched in confusion. What are they doing? This is not proper battle formation. Unknown, Fleet Marshal, replied his tactical officer. They appear to be running away. Then we pursue and destroy them, Gorthak decided. All ships break formation and hunt down the humans. It was exactly what Captain Choi Minho had hoped for. Lieutenant Commander Na Yoon-ji piloted her fighter squadron toward Europa, one of Jupiter's largest moons. Behind her followed 12 other small fighters and 2 gunboats. The alien ships were much faster, but she had an advantage they did not know about. Dragon Squadron, prepare for cavalry charge maneuver. She spoke into her comm system, just like we practiced. Her squadron had studied ancient Korean military tactics, particularly the way cavalry units would strike fast and disappear before the enemy could respond. The aliens might have superior technology, but they had never faced anything like this. 3 alien ships followed her squadron toward Europa. They were closing fast, their energy weapons charging for the kill. At the last second, Na Yoon-ji led her fighters behind the moon. The aliens followed, confident they had trapped the humans. They flew directly into the trap. Hidden in Europa's shadow were 6 human torpedo ships loaded with nuclear warheads. As the alien ships rounded the moon, the torpedoes launched at point-blank range. The first alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash. The second managed to destroy 3 torpedoes, but the 4th one punched through its shields. The third alien ship tried to retreat, but Na Yoon-ji's fighters swarmed it from all sides, their railguns punching holes in its hull. Dragon leader to all squadrons, Na Yoon-ji reported. 3 enemy ships destroyed. No human losses. Moving to next target zone. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human ships would appear from behind asteroids, launch devastating attacks, then disappear again before the aliens could coordinate a response. The alien formation, designed for organized battle against other formation-fighting enemies, fell apart completely. Captain Lee Dong-woo commanded a group of modified freight ships near Ganymede. His vessels looked harmless, but each one carried experimental electromagnetic pulse weapons that Dr. Bae Sung-ho had developed in just 20 days. Wait for it, he told his captains as 5 alien ships approached. Let them get closer. The aliens opened fire with their energy weapons, expecting to destroy the primitive human ships quickly. Instead, the human vessels absorbed the damage with their heavily armored hulls. They had been designed to survive, not to look impressive. Now, Lee Dong-woo commanded. All 5 human ships fired their EMP weapons at once. The electromagnetic pulse scrambled the alien ships' computer systems, leaving them floating helplessly in space. The human ships closed in and finished them off with conventional weapons. This is Seoul's pride to Fleet Command, Lee Dong-woo reported. 5 more enemy ships eliminated. Fleet Marshal Gorthak stared at his tactical display in growing alarm. Red markers showed destroyed alien ships scattered across the battlefield. In 2 hours of fighting, he had lost 47 ships while destroying only 8 human vessels. This is impossible, he clicked angrily. They are primitives. Their technology is inferior. Sir, his tactical officer said nervously, they are not fighting like any species we have encountered. They do not maintain formation. They do not follow standard battle procedures. They appear and disappear randomly. They are cowards, Gorthak declared. They refuse to fight honorably. But even as he said it, he knew something was wrong. Cowards did not destroy 47 superior ships while losing only 8 of their own. These humans were fighting with a savagery and unpredictability that the Vanguard Empire had never encountered. On the Busan Guardian, Captain Choi Minho watched his tactical display with satisfaction. The alien fleet was scattered and confused. Their commanders were trying to reform their battle lines, but every time they grouped together, human fighters would strike and force them to scatter again. Signal all ships, he ordered. Phase 2. Time to show them what humans do when we get angry. The human fleet began a coordinated attack on the alien flagship, but instead of approaching in formation, they came from 12 different directions at once. Some ships flew low near Jupiter's atmosphere. Others came from above the orbital plane. A few even approached from directly in front, using the planet's magnetic field to mask their approach. Gorthak found his mighty flagship surrounded by enemy ships that seemed to appear from nowhere. His point defense systems tried to track dozens of targets at once. Energy beams lashed out in all directions, but the human ships moved like living things, dodging and weaving in patterns that made no sense. All ships, protect the flagship, he ordered desperately. But his fleet was scattered across millions of kilometers of space. By the time other alien ships could reach him, The human attack was over. The Eternal Victory limped away with massive hull damage and half its weapons systems destroyed. "Fleet Marshal," his communications officer said quietly, "we are receiving retreat signals from multiple ships. Morale is breaking." Gorthak looked at his tactical display. 63 alien ships destroyed. 11 human ships lost. It was a disaster beyond imagination. "Signal General retreat," he ordered, his pride crushed. "We return to Vanguard space immediately." As the remaining alien ships fled toward hyperspace, Captain Choi Minho allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had underestimated humanity's greatest weapon, the ability to think differently. "Send a message to Admiral Park," he told his communications officer. "Tell her we hurt them badly, but also tell her they will be back with more ships and better preparation. The first battle was won, but the war was just beginning." The aliens now knew that humans were not the primitive species they had expected. The next battle would be much harder. But Captain Choi Minho was not worried. Let them come with their superior technology in greater numbers. Humans had something the aliens would never understand: the willingness to fight dirty when survival was at stake. The defense of Earth had begun, and humanity had drawn first blood. The news of the defeat spread through Vanguard Empire space like wildfire. High Commander Veltar stood in the Great Council chamber on the capital, world of Nexus Prime. Around him sat the leaders of all 4 species that made up the Empire. "Impossible," hissed Supreme Chancellor Zixara of the crystalline Nexari race. Her voice sounded like breaking glass. 63 ships lost to primitive humans. "How do you explain this failure, Veltar?" Veltar's scaled skin darkened with shame. "The humans do not fight as other species fight. They have no honor, no proper battle formations. They strike and run like cowards." "Cowards who destroyed 63 of our finest ship," rumbled Elder Thosmet of the gaseous ethereal species. His form shifted constantly like living smoke. "Perhaps we underestimated them." "They are still primitives," Veltar insisted. "We will crush them with overwhelming force. I request 2,000 ships for the final assault." Supreme Chancellor Zixara's crystalline body flashed with angry red light. 2,000 ships. You want half our entire fleet to destroy one backward planet?" "Yes," Veltar replied firmly. "We will show the galaxy what happens to species that defy the Vanguard Empire. No mercy, no survivors." Meanwhile on Earth the mood was very different. In the underground bunkers beneath Sol, humanity's greatest minds worked around the clock to prepare for the next attack. Chief Engineer Bei Sung-ho stood in his laboratory surrounded by half-built machines and computer screens, showing complex diagrams. He had not slept in 3 days, but his eyes burned with excitement rather than exhaustion. "The new AI systems are ready for testing," he announced to Admiral Park Hyejin and Dr. Kim Tae-ho. "These are unlike anything the aliens have seen before." Dr. Kim Tae-ho, Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, studied the readouts carefully. "Explain how they work." "Traditional AI follows programmed rules," Bei Sung-ho said, pointing to a screen. "The alien computers are very advanced, but they think in straight lines. Our new systems are different. They learn from chaos. They make decisions based on human emotions and instincts." Admiral Park Hyejin frowned. "That sounds dangerous." "What if they make the wrong decisions?" "That is exactly the point," Bei Sung-ho smiled. "Wrong decisions are sometimes right decisions. The aliens cannot predict what our AI will do because it thinks like a human. It can be scared, angry, desperate, or brilliant. Sometimes all at once." Dr. Kim Tae-ho nodded approvingly. "The alien confederation has ruled space for 2,000 years. They have become comfortable, predictable. They follow the same strategies that worked for their ancestors." "What else have you learned about them?" asked Admiral Park Hyejin. Dr. Kim Tae-ho activated a holographic display showing the 4 alien species. Each race has critical weaknesses. The Kethri, like Veltar, are warriors, but they value honor above practical thinking, challenge their pride, and they make mistakes. He pointed to the insect-like Zephyrian. The Zephyrians work like a hive mind. Kill their commanders and the soldiers become lost and confused. They cannot think for themselves. The crystalline Nexari appeared next. These beings communicate through harmonic vibrations. Disrupt their frequency and they cannot coordinate their actions. Finally, the gaseous ethereals materialized on the display. The most dangerous because they can change form, but also the most vulnerable. Strong electromagnetic fields cause them to lose cohesion. Admiral Park Hyojin studied each alien race carefully, so we have weapons that can hurt each of them. Better than that, said Dr. Kim Tae-ho. We understand how they think. The Vanguard Empire conquered the galaxy through superior technology and overwhelming numbers. They never learned to adapt because they never had to. 3 weeks later, Captain Lee Dong-woo returned from a scouting mission to the edge of human space. His ship had been upgraded with the new stealth systems that made it nearly invisible to alien sensors. The enemy fleet is massive, he reported to the War Council. Over 2,000 ships from all 4 species. They are staging at the Proxima Centauri system. How long before they reach Earth? Asked Admiral Park Hee-jin. 6 days at maximum speed, Lee Dong-woo replied. But there is something strange. They are not all coming directly here. The fleet is splitting into 3 groups. Dr. Kim Tae-ho activated the tactical display. Show me their formation. Lee Dong-woo pointed to 3 separate arrow formations on the star map. One group heads straight for Earth. The other 2 are taking longer routes through the Tau Ceti and Wolf. 359 systems. They plan to attack from 3 directions at once, observed Admiral Park Hyojin. Surround us so we cannot escape. Or, said Dr. Kim Tae-ho with a growing smile, they have given us the perfect opportunity to defeat them in pieces. He turned to address the entire War Council. The aliens think like conquerors. They want to surround and crush us with superior numbers. But what if we are not here when they arrive? Admiral Park Hyojin caught on immediately. Operation Wildfire. We attack them first. Exactly, Dr. Kim Tae-ho continued. They expect us to defend Earth and wait for their attack. Instead, we take our entire fleet and hit their homeworlds while they are away. Chief Engineer Bae Sung-ho pulled up technical specifications. The new ships are ready. 50 vessels equipped with the Chaos AI systems. Each one can think and fight independently while coordinating with the others. But what about Earth? Asked Captain Choi Min-ho. If we leave, the planet is defenseless. Admiral Park Hyojin walked to the large window overlooking Seoul. Below, millions of people went about their daily lives, unaware that their entire species hung in the balance. Earth will not be defenseless, she said quietly. We will leave the defense grid and the orbital platforms. But more importantly, we will leave something the aliens cannot understand. She turned back to face the council. We will leave hope. When the alien fleets arrive at Earth and find us gone, they will panic. Their perfect plan will be ruined. They will not know whether to wait, follow us, or retreat. Dr. Kim Tae-ho nodded enthusiastically. Psychological warfare. The aliens have never faced an enemy that fights back intelligently. They are used to defensive battles where they slowly overwhelm their enemies. How many ships can we take? Asked Captain Lee Dong-woo. Every combat vessel we have, Admiral Park Hyojin declared. 300 ships total. We will hit 3 different Vanguard homeworlds simultaneously. Chief Engineer Bae Sung-ho looked worried. Admiral, that means we are dividing our forces just like they are. 100 ships per target. Yes, she replied. But we have advantages they do not. Our ships can think creatively. Our crews can adapt to changing situations. Most importantly, we will have the element of surprise. Captain Choi Min-ho studied the star charts. Which worlds do we target? Dr. Kim Tae-ho highlighted 3 star systems. Cathrak Prime, the Cathri homeworld, very heavily defended, but their warriors will not retreat even when losing. He pointed to the second target. The Zephyrian Industrial Complex at Hive Sector 7. Destroy their shipbuilding facilities and they cannot replace their losses. The final target appeared on the display. The Nexari Crystal Gardens at Harmonic Station. This is where they grow their ships from living crystal. Destroy this and they cannot build new vessels for decades. What about the ethereal homeworld? Asked Captain Lee Dong-woo. The ethereals do not have a fixed home, Dr. Kim Tae-ho explained. They live in gas giant atmospheres across multiple systems. We cannot attack all of them. Admiral Park Hyojin made her decision. We launch in 48 hours. 3 fleet groups, 3 targets, simultaneous attacks. We show the Vanguard Empire that humans do not wait to be conquered. As the War Council dispersed to prepare their ships, Dr. Kim Tae-ho remained behind with Admiral Park Hyojin. Do you really think this will work? He asked quietly. She looked out at the stars where enemy fleets were gathering to destroy her world. It has to work. We cannot win a defensive war against 2,000 ships. Our only chance is to make them fight our kind of war. And what kind of war is that? Admiral Park Hyojin smiled grimly. The kind where the rules keep changing and the only way to win is to think like a human. In 2 days, humanity would either achieve the greatest military victory in galactic history or cease to exist entirely. But they would not go quietly into extinction. They would go down fighting with every trick, every innovation, and every desperate strategy their species could devise. The 3 human fleets dropped out of hyperspace simultaneously across 3 different star systems. For the first time in galactic history, humans were bringing war to alien homeworlds. Commander Yoon Soo-jin led Strike Force Alpha toward Kethrock Prime. The planet glowed red in the darkness of space, its surface covered with massive warrior cities and military installations. Orbital defense platforms surrounded it like a metal ring. Enemy response is immediate, reported her tactical officer. 75 Kethri ships moving to intercept us. Yoon Soo-jin smiled coldly. She had studied the Kethri psychology for weeks. They were proud warriors who valued honor above tactical sense. That pride would be their weakness. Open a channel to the planet, she ordered. The main screen flickered and showed Supreme War Commander Thekvar, leader of all Kethri military forces. His reptilian face showed confusion at seeing human ships so far from Earth. I am Commander Yoon Soo-jin of the Human Defense Fleet, she announced formally. I challenge the warriors of Kethrock Prime to honorable combat. Face me if you dare. Thekvar's yellow eyes blazed with anger. Insolent human. You dare come to our homeworld and issue challenges. We will crush your pathetic fleet. Then prove it, Yoon Soo-jin taunted. Send your best warriors. Show the galaxy that the mighty Kethri can defeat 100 human ships. It worked perfectly. Instead of waiting for reinforcements or coordinating with the defense platforms, Thekvar ordered his entire available fleet to attack immediately. The Kethri ships charged forward in their traditional honor formation, exactly as the humans had hoped. All ships, execute Plan Dragon, Yoon Soo-jin commanded. The human fleet split into 5 groups and scattered in different directions. The Kethri ships, committed to their honor charge, could not change course without losing face. They flew directly into the trap. As the alien ships passed through the human formation, 25 stealth mines exploded around them. The new Chaos AI systems had predicted the exact path of the Kethri charge. 15 enemy ships were destroyed instantly. Now hit them from behind, Yoon Soo-jin ordered. The scattered human ships regrouped behind the Kethri formation and opened fire. The aliens found themselves trapped between the human fleet and their own orbital defenses, unable to fire back without hitting their own platforms. Meanwhile, in the Zephyrian industrial sector, Captain O.J. Sung watched his sensors carefully. The Hive Sector 7 was a massive construction facility floating in space, surrounded by hundreds of partially built ships. Zephyrian response fleet detected, announced his sensor officer. 120 ships in perfect formation. Captain O.J. Sung nodded. The Zephyrians were even more predictable than the Kethri. They moved like machines following programmed patterns that never changed. Target their command ships first, he ordered. The Chaos AI has identified the fleet commanders. The human ships opened fire with surgical precision. Instead of attacking the largest or most dangerous ships, they targeted specific vessels that the AI had identified as command and control centers. Within minutes, 12 Zephyrian command ships were destroyed. The rest of the alien fleet immediately fell into confusion. Without their commanders to give orders, the individual Zephyrian ships began flying in circles, unsure what to do. Look at them, laughed Lieutenant Park Min-ho from his gunboat. They are like children without their parents. Captain O.J. Sung pressed his advantage. All ships, attack pattern chaos. Hit them while they cannot coordinate. The human fleet swarmed the confused Zephyrians. The alien ships had superior weapons and armor, but they could not work together without their command structure. One by one, they fell to concentrated human attacks. At the same time, Chief Engineer Bae Sung-ho led the assault on the Nexari Crystal Gardens at Harmonic Station. This was the most dangerous target, because the Nexari could communicate instantly across any distance through their crystalline network. Deploying sonic disruptors, he announced to his fleet. The special weapons he had designed would attack the aliens' greatest strength and turn it into weakness. The Nexari ships moved toward the humans in perfect harmony, their crystalline hulls singing in frequencies that could shatter metal. But when the human sonic disruptors activated, everything changed. The alien songs became screams of pain. The harmonic frequencies that allowed the Nexari to coordinate their actions were scrambled by the human weapons. Their beautiful crystal ships began to crack and break apart. "Fascinating," muttered Dr. Kim Tae-ho, who was observing the battle from the command ship. "Their communication system is also their structural integrity system. Disrupt one and you destroy both." The Nexari fleet, moments before perfectly coordinated, became a collection of individual ships with no way to work together. Many of their vessels simply fell apart as the sonic waves shattered their crystalline matrices. Back at Kethrak Prime, the battle was reaching its climax. Supreme War Commander Thekvar watched in growing rage as his forces were systematically destroyed by the human fleet. "This is not honorable combat," he roared into his communicator. "You fight like cowards and scavengers." Commander Yoon Soo-jin's voice came back calm and steady. "We fight like humans. We fight to win." The last Kethri ships were trapped against their own orbital defenses. Thekvar made a final desperate decision. He ordered the defense platforms to fire through his own ships to hit the humans. "He is sacrificing his own warriors," observed Lieutenant Na Yoon-ji in shock. "Their honor means nothing when they are losing." But the human chaos AI had predicted even this. The moment the orbital platforms opened fire, pre-positioned human stealth ships revealed themselves behind the platforms and destroyed them with point-blank torpedo attacks. Within 6 hours of the first attack, all three human fleets had achieved total victory. Strike Force Alpha had destroyed the Kethri home fleet and half their orbital defenses. Strike Force Beta had eliminated the Zephyrian industrial complex and captured dozens of half-built ships. Strike Force Gamma had shattered the Nexari crystal gardens and left their communication network in ruins. The news reached the Vanguard fleet commanders as they approached Earth's solar system. High Commander Veltar received 3 messages almost simultaneously. Kethrak Prime under attack. Hive Sector 7 destroyed, Harmonic Station fallen. "Impossible," he hissed, staring at the tactical displays. "The humans should be defending their home world. How are they attacking our territories?" Fleet Marshal Gorthak, still bitter about his previous defeat, spoke up from his ship. "The humans do not think like us. They do not follow proper military doctrine. Signal all fleet commanders," Veltar ordered. "Full speed to Earth. We will destroy their world before they can return." But when the Vanguard fleet arrived at Earth, they found something that confused them even more. The planet was defended, but not by a military fleet. Thousands of civilian ships surrounded Earth like a protective shell. Cargo vessels, passenger liners, mining ships, even small personal craft. Admiral Park Hyejin's voice came over the communication channels from the Lunar Command Center. "Welcome to Earth, High Commander Veltar. As you can see, we were expecting you." "Where is your fleet?" Veltar demanded. "Where are your military ships?" "Busy," Admiral Park replied calmly. "They are currently destroying your homeworlds and industrial centers." "Did you enjoy our little surprise?" For the first time in his life, High Commander Veltar felt fear. The humans had outmaneuvered the entire Vanguard Empire. While the aliens had sent their fleets to destroy Earth, the humans had struck at the heart of alien civilization. "You cannot defend your world with cargo ships," he snarled, trying to regain his composure. "Watch us," Admiral Park replied. "Every ship around Earth carries human beings willing to die for their home. Every captain out there knows that this is humanity's final stand. How do you fight an entire species that refuses to surrender?" The Vanguard fleet found themselves facing an impossible choice. They could destroy Earth, but the human military fleets would continue attacking Vanguard worlds. They could retreat to defend their homes, but that would mean admitting defeat to a species they had tried to exterminate. High Commander Veltar realized with growing horror that the humans had turned the entire strategic situation upside down. The Vanguard Empire, which had ruled space for 2,000 years, was suddenly fighting for its survival against an enemy that refused to follow any known rules of warfare. "Signal retreat," he ordered finally. All fleets returned to defend the homeworlds, but it was already too late. The damage was done. The human counterstrikes had crippled 3 of the 4 Vanguard species. For the first time in galactic history, the mighty Empire was in full retreat. The humans had proven that superior technology and numbers meant nothing against superior strategy and the willingness to take desperate risks. The galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after the Great Retreat, space around Earth filled with ships again. But this time, only one alien species came for the final battle. 800 ethereal vessels emerged from hyperspace like a ghostly armada. Their ships seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, barely solid enough to see. Elder Thossamet commanded the ethereal fleet from his flagship, a massive vessel that looked more like a living cloud than a spacecraft. His gaseous form rippled with anger as he surveyed the human defenses around Earth. "The other species have failed," he spoke to his subordinates, his voice like wind through caverns. "The Kethri are broken, the Zephyrians scattered, the Nexari silent. Only we remain to finish what the Vanguard Empire started." His tactical officer, a swirling mass of purple gas named Velmoth, drifted closer. "The humans have recalled their fleets. All their military ships have returned to defend their world." "Good," Thossamet replied. "Then we will destroy them all at once. No more clever tricks, no more running away. This ends today." The human defense fleet had indeed returned. Captain Li Dongwu stood on the bridge of his flagship, Soul's Pride, watching the enemy ships approach. Around Earth, 300 human military vessels formed defensive lines, supported by thousands of civilian craft that had volunteered to help. "Enemy fleet composition," he asked his sensor officer. 800 ships, all ethereal, Lieutenant Nayunji reported. "But Captain, something is different about them. Their hulls show new modifications." Captain Li Dongwu studied the tactical display. The ethereal ships had additional armor plating and what looked like electromagnetic shielding. "They learned from our previous battles. They have protected themselves against our EMP weapons." On Luna, in the underground command center, Admiral Park Hyejin coordinated the defense with her staff. Dr. Kim Tae-ho worked frantically at his computer terminal, analyzing the enemy fleet. "The ethereals have adapted," he announced grimly. "They have hardened their ships against electromagnetic attacks. Our primary weapon against them will not work." Chief Engineer Bae Sung-ho looked up from his own screens. "But they cannot protect against everything. The ethereals are gaseous beings. They need specific atmospheric conditions to maintain their forms." "What are you thinking?" asked Admiral Park Hyejin. "Atmospheric disruption," Bae Sung-ho said with growing excitement. "We cannot use electromagnetic weapons, but we can still attack their life support systems. If we can change the atmospheric composition inside their ships, they will lose physical cohesion." Dr. Kim Tae-ho shook his head. "That would require getting inside their vessels. Their shields will prevent any atmospheric weapons from reaching them." "Unless we get them to lower their shields," Admiral Park Hyejin said thoughtfully. She turned to address the entire command staff. "Signal all ships. We are going to let the enemy get close. Very close." Captain Choi Minho, commanding the defense perimeter, received the order with confusion. "Admiral, if we let them approach Earth, they can bombard the planet directly." "That is exactly what we want them to think," Admiral Park replied. "All ships fall back toward Earth. Make it look like we are retreating in panic." The human fleet began pulling back toward Earth's orbital space. The civilian vessels scattered as if fleeing in terror. To the ethereal commanders, it looked like the human defense was collapsing. "They run like cowards," Elder Thossamet observed with satisfaction. "All ships advance. Prepare to bombardment formation around their planet." The ethereal fleet moved forward eagerly. Their ships flowed through space like a tide of liquid metal, confident that victory was finally within reach. They had learned from the mistakes of the other Vanguard species. No more underestimating human tactics. No more falling for human tricks. But as they approached Earth's orbital zone, something unexpected happened. The retreating human ships suddenly stopped and turned to face them. At the same time, thousands of small objects detached from the civilian vessels that had seemed to be fleeing. "What are those?" demanded Velmoth, studying his sensors. "Unknown objects," his tactical officer replied. "They appear to be small atmospheric processors. They are surrounding our fleet." Elder Thossamet realized too late what was happening. The humans had not retreated in panic. They had drawn the ethereal fleet into a carefully prepared trap. The small devices were not weapons in the traditional sense. They were atmospheric modification units designed to change the very air the ethereals breathed. "All ships reverse course," he ordered desperately. "Do not let those devices get close," but it was too late. Thousands of small atmospheric processors activated simultaneously around the ethereal fleet. Instead of trying to penetrate the alien shields, they began changing the space around the ships. The carefully balanced gas mixtures that the ethereals needed to survive began to shift and change. Inside the ethereal vessels, alarms began sounding. The gaseous beings found their forms becoming unstable, as their ship's life support systems struggled to compensate for the changing atmospheric conditions. Outside, shields are fluctuating, reported Velmoth in panic. The atmospheric changes are affecting our containment systems. Elder Thossamet felt his own form beginning to lose cohesion. Emergency protocols. All ships activate internal atmospheric locks. The ethereal ships tried to seal themselves off from the changing environment, but this created a new problem. To maintain their shield systems and weapons, they needed to cycle atmospheric gases through their hulls. By sealing themselves off, they had to choose between maintaining their defenses or keeping their crews alive. Captain Li Dongwu watched the enemy fleet's dilemma with grim satisfaction. All ships prepare for final assault. Target any vessel that lowers its shields. The human fleet moved in for the kill. The ethereal ships found themselves trapped between two impossible choices. Keep their shields up and suffocate, or lower their defenses to breathe and face human weapons. One by one, ethereal ships began lowering their shields as their crews struggled to survive. The moment their defenses dropped, human ships swarmed them with conventional weapons. Railgun rounds and missile barrages tore through unprotected alien hulls. This is impossible. Elder Thosmet gasped as his form flickered in and out of solidity. How did they know our weakness? Dr. Kim Taeho's voice came over the communication channel from Luna. We studied your species for months. We learned that you are not as superior as you think. Every strength can become a weakness if your enemy is clever enough. The battle turned into a rout. Ethereal ships that maintained their shields found their crews dissolving into incoherent gas clouds. Those that lowered their defenses were destroyed by human weapons. Within 2 hours, 600 of the 800 ethereal vessels had been eliminated. Elder Thossamet, his form barely holding together, made a final desperate transmission to the human fleet. We surrender. Please, no more killing. Admiral Park Hyojin's response was broadcast across all channels. The Vanguard Empire declared war on humanity. You gave us no choice but to defend ourselves. Now you face the consequences of your aggression. But even as she spoke, she gave the order to cease fire. The surviving ethereal ships were allowed to retreat, their crews broken and defeated. Captain Li Dongwu stood on his bridge, watching the alien survivors limp away toward hyperspace. Around Earth, the human fleet maintained its positions, ready for any further attacks. Signal all ships, he announced. The enemy is defeated. Earth is safe. Across the human fleet, cheers erupted from every vessel. They had faced the combined might of an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 2,000 years, and they had won, not through superior technology or greater numbers, but through human ingenuity, determination, and the willingness to fight for their survival. The war was over, but the galaxy would never forget what happened when an ancient empire tried to crush the newest species to reach the stars. Humanity had proven that sometimes the youngest and smallest could defeat the oldest and mightiest, if they had the courage to fight smart rather than just fight hard. 6 months had passed since the final battle above Earth. The galaxy was a very different place now. In the Great Assembly Hall on Luna, representatives from 47 different alien species sat in careful rows, waiting for the session to begin. Admiral Park Hyojin walked to the central podium wearing the new uniform of the Galactic Defense Alliance. The insignia on her shoulder showed Earth surrounded by stars, symbolizing humanity's role as protector of all worlds. Behind her stood the former enemies who had become her closest allies. High Commander Veltar of the Kethri had requested to serve under human command after his species' defeat. His scaled skin bore new scars from the battle at Kethrek Prime, but his yellow eyes showed respect rather than hatred when he looked at the human admiral. The old ways have failed, he had told the Kethri High Council. These humans fight with honor but also with wisdom. We have much to learn from them. Fleet Marshal Gorthak of the Zephyrian stood beside him. The insect-like commander had initially resisted human leadership, but changed his mind after witnessing human mercy toward defeated enemies. When Gorthak's ships were trapped and helpless, Captain O.J. Sung could have destroyed them all. Instead, he had offered medical aid and safe passage home. Humans do not fight to destroy, Gorthak had reported to his hive queens. They fight to protect. This is why they are stronger than us. Even Supreme Chancellor Zixara of the Nexari had requested alliance with humanity. Her crystalline form had been damaged during the battle at Harmonic Station, leaving her with a permanent musical tone when she spoke. But she claimed this reminded her daily of human ingenuity. They turned our greatest strength against us, she had admitted to her Crystal Council, but they did not use this knowledge to commit genocide. They stopped when we surrendered. Only a truly advanced species shows such restraint. Admiral Park Hee-jin called the assembly to order. Representatives of the Galactic Defense Alliance, we gather today to address the situation in the former Vanguard territories. The massive display screen behind her showed a map of known space. Red zones marked areas still controlled by Vanguard loyalists. Green zones showed worlds that had joined the new alliance. Yellow zones indicated neutral territories. 14 star systems remain under Vanguard control, she continued. These are mostly ethereal colonies and gas giant atmospheres. Elder Thasimet has refused all attempts at communication. Captain Lee Dongwu, now serving as Director of Diplomatic Relations, stepped forward. Our intelligence suggests the remaining ethereals are planning guerrilla attacks against Alliance worlds. They cannot accept that their empire has ended. Dr. Kim Tae-ho, wearing the robes of the new Galactic Psychology Institute, activated a holographic display. The ethereal mentality is different from the other Vanguard species. They were the founders of the Empire. Accepting defeat means accepting that their entire worldview was wrong. What do you recommend? Asked Admiral Park Hye-jin. Patience, replied Dr. Kim Tae-ho. The younger generation of ethereals is beginning to question their leaders. Given time, they may choose alliance over continued resistance. A voice spoke from the assembly floor, and if they do not choose alliance, all heads turned toward the speaker. It was Ambassador Raithak, a young Kethri warrior who had become one of humanity's strongest supporters. His question echoed what many in the assembly were thinking. Admiral Park Hye-jin considered her answer carefully. Then we will do what humans have always done when faced with those who threaten innocent lives. We will protect the galaxy, even from those who cannot protect themselves. Captain Choi Min-ho, now commanding the Mars Training Academy, gave his weekly report. Alien cadets continue to excel in human tactical doctrine. The integration program is exceeding all expectations. The academy had been established to train mixed crews of humans and aliens. At first, many species had resisted serving alongside their former enemies. But the results spoke for themselves. Ships with mixed crews consistently outperformed single-species vessels in combat exercises. The Kethri cadets are particularly gifted at boarding actions, Choi Min-ho continued. Their warrior instincts, combined with human tactical flexibility, create formidable assault teams. What about the Zephyrian students? Asked Admiral Park Hee-jin. Excellent at coordination and logistics. When paired with human creativity, they can solve supply problems that would stump either species alone. Chief Engineer Bae Sung-ho stood to address the assembly. Technology sharing continues to advance. The new hybrid ships combine human innovation with alien engineering. The results are beyond anything either side could achieve alone. He activated a holographic display showing the latest ship designs. Kethri armor plating with human shield generators, Zephyrian sensor arrays with human targeting systems, Nexari communication networks with human encryption protocols, and the ethereal technology, asked Supreme Chancellor Zixara, her damaged voice creating harmonics that resonated through the hall. That remains problematic, Bae Sung-ho admitted. Without ethereal cooperation, we cannot fully understand their atmospheric manipulation techniques. Elder Velnoth of the neutral ethereals rose from his designated area. He was one of the few gaseous beings who had chosen to work with humans rather than continue the war. My people fear that sharing our technology will make us obsolete, he said, his form shifting nervously. We have always been the masters of atmospheric science. Without that advantage, what value do we have? Admiral Park Hye-jin addressed him directly. Elder Velnoth, humans do not seek to replace other species. We seek to learn from them. Your people's mastery of atmospheric science could help us terraform dead worlds and create new homes for all species. But that knowledge could also be used as a weapon against us, Velnoth replied. Yes, Admiral Park Hee-jin agreed honestly, just as your people used it as a weapon against us. The difference is that humans choose not to use such weapons unless we have no other option. She gestured toward the assembled representatives. Look around this room. Kethri, Zephyrians, Nexari, and dozens of other species, all former enemies who now work together under human leadership. Not because we conquered them, but because we proved that cooperation produces better results than domination. The assembly voted on the final resolution of the day. By an overwhelming margin, They approved the establishment of the Universal War Archives on Luna. The facility would preserve the complete record of the war, including detailed accounts from all species involved. Dr. Kim Tae-ho was appointed as the first director of the archives. This record will serve as a reminder, he announced, not of human victory, but of what happens when species choose war over diplomacy. As the assembly dispersed, Admiral Park Hyejin remained in the hall with her closest advisors. Captain Lee Dongwoo approached with the day's intelligence reports. 3 more ethereal colonies have indicated interest in joining the alliance, he reported. Elder Thosamet's support is cracking. Good, she replied. But we must be patient. Forced conversion creates resentment. Voluntary alliance creates lasting peace. Captain Choi Minho looked out through the great windows at Earth hanging in the black sky. Do you think we did the right thing, Admiral? Taking control of the galaxy, I mean. Admiral Park Hyejin joined him at the window. Below on Luna's surface, construction crews of mixed species were building new facilities for the Alliance government. Humans worked alongside former enemies, creating something that had never existed before. We did not take control, she said quietly. We took responsibility. There is a difference. What difference? Asked Chief Engineer Bae Sung-ho. Control is about power, Admiral Park Hyejin replied. Responsibility is about protection. We could have destroyed the vanguard species completely. Instead, we offered them a chance to be part of something better. Dr. Kim Tae-ho nodded thoughtfully. The galaxy needed someone willing to fight when necessary, but wise enough to stop when the fighting was over. As they watched, a transport ship landed at the Luna spaceport. The passengers who emerged included humans returning from diplomatic missions, Kethri engineers heading to new construction projects, and Zephyrian scholars traveling to research facilities on Mars. This is what we fought for, Admiral Park Hyejin said. Not human dominance, but galactic cooperation. A future where species work together instead of trying to conquer each other. The Universal War Archives would record that humanity's rise to galactic leadership lasted exactly 18 months. After that, the position of Supreme Commander was rotated among different species every 3 years. But the principles established during those crucial 18 months endured. The galaxy had learned that true strength came not from superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but from the wisdom to know when to fight, when to stop fighting, and when to extend a hand to former enemies. Humanity had not sought to rule the stars, but when the stars needed rulers, humans had proven worthy of the responsibility, and perhaps more importantly, they had proven wise enough to share that responsibility once peace was established. The age of the Vanguard Empire was over. The age of the Galactic Alliance had begun.